Cool. Okay, before we start, I know that John mentioned this, but just to remind us all that we do have a Christmas concert that will be coming up. That's on the 11th of December. We're off next week. Next week is Next week is our usual week off, but then the week after that will be the 4th of December. How the heck is it going to be December in like 2 weeks? I don't know. But that will be when the list is going out. So just a reminder about the list. You won't be able to sign on behalf of somebody just because we've got to keep it fair. So just sign for yourself. It's not strictly Christmas. You know, if you don't want to come Christmassy, that's okay. A lot of people here will be Christmassy, all right? But I'm not going to force you to put a Christmas jumper on, like as if like we're going to stop people coming in if they haven't got a Christmas jumper. That's not the case. We're not that mean. But yeah, so it's going to be a really lovely evening. We will be putting out a food list at some point on our Facebook page, so please do keep an eye out for that, because last year you guys literally hit it out of the park. Like, we had so much food, and it was really helpful because it meant that it didn't fall on the team. We are a small team, so we'd literally have to take out another mortgage to pay for it. So if you guys could help out with food, that would be amazing. Fantastic. I think that's everything I wanted to say beforehand. So if I could just have your attention for 5 minutes, right? I am going to just really quickly speak about Jesus. That's what we normally do. But there's a really small passage of scripture that sort of helps to highlight who he is and who he was. And so I'm going to be reading from the book of Philippians, right? And this is one of the most popular ways in which people sort of refer to, I suppose, to see who Christ was. There's lots of different things. That sticker on the wall there, actually, and it says he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. That is about Jesus. There's a lot of things about Jesus in the Bible, but this is the thing that I wanted to just sort of highlight to you this evening. So this is from Philippians 2. And it says, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. That's a lot of words in there. So we're going to super duper quick go through that really, really quickly. So number one, who being in very nature God did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Basically, he wasn't going round. Actually, let me tell you a story first. I read this article once of, Prince George, so the son of Prince William and Catherine Middleton, who is actually going to be the future king. He was going around his primary school going, do you know who my dad is? And I found that really funny because, he is, him, Louis, and Charlotte, they are the only ones in the country that can go around being like, my dad's the king. Do you even know who you're speaking to? And I'm not being funny. If I was from royalty, if my parents were the king and queen, I'd be like, don't even think you can speak to me like that. You know who my parents are, right? I found that really, really funny. So that is not what Jesus did when he came, okay? Jesus is the Son of God, but he wasn't going round sort of flaunting it in people's faces, going, don't come anywhere near me. Do you even know who I am? You can't come near me. Sorry, do you know what? I know that this is like £6, but I can have it for free, can't I? Because I'm the Son of God. He wasn't like that. Basically, he wasn't flaunting it in people's faces. He was humble. He wasn't sort of parading around with a big crown on his head and big robes and stuff like that. He looked like everybody else. He blended in like everybody else. So I found that quite interesting because when we actually look at who Jesus is in this passage, he's literally the Son of God, and he could use that to his own advantage if he wanted to. But he didn't. And I think that that's quite interesting, isn't it? If we look at Prince George, we're all a Prince George. I feel like I'd be like, my dad's the king. But when we look at Jesus, it's the complete opposite. That's not what he did. And so I found that really interesting. And then the next bit here, it says, so instead of doing that, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. So Jesus coming into the world, he didn't come on a big golden chariot that was led by white horses, and he didn't come down with big trumpets and a big sign saying, hi, I'm Jesus and I'm here. It was nothing like that. He came as a baby. Now think of a baby, right? Babies are the most helpless creatures on the planet, aren't they? They need to be fed, they need to be washed, they need to be clothed, you need to teach them how to walk. You've got to teach them how to talk. That is like the most humbling experience ever, isn't it? To be a baby and to have every single thing done for you. But that's how he chose to come into this earth. Isn't that crazy? The Son of God, the King of Kings, choosing to come down into this earth as a child, as a baby, no less. Like, as a baby. That literally makes me go wild. Because instead of doing all of the things that you'd think a king would do, he was washing feet. He was washing his disciples' feet, which is like the most disgusting task ever, because they wore these sandals that like all the dust would have got, all the dust would have got in their feet and everything, and it wouldn't have been a pretty sight, right? There was no such thing as pedicure was back in the day, right? These men would have had gnarly feet, right? And Jesus is on the floor, on his hands and knees, washing these people's feet. Like, I find that insane. He could have been doing anything else. He could have been being a king and thinking about what kings would do, and he was doing that. And instead of mixing with socialites and spending lots of money and having the finest food and the finest wine, he was mixing with people who had leprosy. Now, leprosy, just a quick crash course on leprosy, you don't want it, you don't want to be anyone that has it, and you definitely don't want to be in the same area that someone has touched that has leprosy. You would catch it and most likely die, right? And lepers were cast out, actually. There would be a city gate. Everybody inside the city would not have leprosy. If you had leprosy, you'd be like, go to the gate, and you'd have to like go and do the walk of shame to the gate and sit outside because you weren't welcome anymore. That was what a leper was. But they were the very people that Jesus was sitting with and chilling with. He was also chilling with people like tax collectors. The tax collectors, it used to be done door to door instead of online, obviously. They would go to people's houses and say, your tax this week is £10. Obviously, it wouldn't be pounds, but bear with me. So £10. And you go, right, okay, you pay £10. The tax was actually £5, but they'd pocket the 5. So people hated tax collectors, right? Oh my gosh, they were the worst, right? He was mixing with them. He was going, one of them, his name was Zacchaeus, he went over his house for tea. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so opposite to what a king would do in those days. And so that's another thing that we learn about Jesus. He's not your usual kind of cultural king in that sense. But he made himself a servant, and he says in another part of the Bible, I came to seek and save the lost. It's not the healthy that need a doctor, it's the sick. And so he gravitated, his very heart gravitated towards those people who were outside the gate, who were completely absconded from society because of who they were and what they did. And then the last bit, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Now, back in the day, crucifixion, which is dying on the cross, was one of the most, if not the most, humiliating and painful ways to die, right? It would have been in front of everyone, so it would have been a public spectacle, and obviously beforehand as well, he had to carry this cross up a massive hill called Golgotha. He carried it all the way up and hung there for 6 hours. Ooh. Bearing in mind, his ribs would have been broken, he had a crown of thorns in his head, he would have been partially naked, so there's the humiliation of that as well. And people were shouting at him, going, if you think that you're so clever, get down from the cross. You show me what you can do. Clearly you're not a king, look at you can't do it. You can't even get down off the cross to prove to me who you are. And when we look at that and the cultural thing at the time, people were loving it. People were loving the fact that Jesus was on this cross dying. But you know what? Jesus could have got down off the cross, and he really could have just taken off the nails, got down and said, okay. And everybody there would have been like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. He is who he says he is. But he didn't. And when I read that, I was like, I wonder why he hung there for that long when he could have just got down. He could have just got down. This is the man that had been healing people. This was the man that had been performing miracles, but yet he chose to hang on a cross. And it made me think, is it a choice or could he just not? But he could have got down off that cross. But he knew what needed to be done. His love for us kept him on that cross because he knew what needed to be done. And so when I was reading this, the fact that the King of Kings, the mighty God, the wonderful Counselor, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, decided that, no, do you know what? I'm going to stay on this cross. I'm going to hang here because I know what needs to be done. He died for you, knowing you may never love him back. He did it anyway. Let me say that again. He died for you, knowing you may never love him back. Isn't that an amazing force of love that he shows? It's absolutely incredible. I can't imagine dying for somebody that doesn't know me or doesn't want to know me. Oh my gosh, no way. But that's exactly what he did. And when we talk about this Jesus here, we're not talking about a God that's out of touch with reality. We're talking about a God that knows you and who died for you and loves you so deeply, so much so that he sent Jesus to die for you. I just think that is the most beautiful act of love that we've ever seen. And so when we look at who Jesus was, we recognize that he was a man and he lived on earth. He knows what it's like to be human. He knows the struggles. He literally lived here. He knows exactly what it's like. And so when we say to him, God, I'm struggling with my friends betrayed me. I get how you feel. God, I'm struggling with the grief. I've lost somebody really close to me. Do you know what? I lost my friend too. His name was Lazarus, and I cried so much. I cried and I wept at his grave. I really struggled. Jesus, I'm struggling with betrayal. My friends have abandoned me and they've talked about me and they've even denied that they ever knew me in the first place. Yep, I get it. Peter walked away after being with me and said, I don't know him. He does understand. He does understand, and he's not so far out of touch that he's like, oh, pity. Sorry, not my problem. No. He came, he saw, he died, he rose, and now he is able to be in that relationship with you. And so if you want to know more about that, please do come and see me afterwards. I'd love to chat to you about it. But I'm going to sing a song now. It's a lovely song. We sing it in church, actually, and we sang it on Sunday. It's a song called Yet Not I. And I really do love this song. So let me read the first verse. It says, what gift of grace is Jesus my Redeemer? There is no more for heaven now to give. He is my joy, my righteousness and freedom, my steadfast love, my deep and boundless peace. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus, for my life is wholly bound to his. Oh, how strange and divine, I can sing all is mine, yet not I, but through Christ in me. And so if you want to know more about having a relationship with Jesus and what that looks like, please do come and see me or any of the leaders, John or Kieran or Phil, Katie, whoever you see sort of helping out on the team. Please feel free. We're all friendly, I promise. I'm going to go over there now and sing. But yeah, if you have any questions, please do ask away. Thank you. Okay.
What gift of grace is Jesus my Redeemer? There is no more for heaven now to give. He is my joy, my righteousness and freedom, my steadfast love, my deep and boundless peace. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus, for my life is wholly bound to his. Oh, how strange and divine, I can sing all is mine, yet not I, but through Christ in me. The night is dark, but I am not forsaken, for by my side the Savior, he will stay. I labor on in weakness and rejoicing, for in my need his power is displayed. To this I The